Ann Keither, and this is Terry Ann Russell, and we are keeping it real with the Sisters of the Light. Hello,
Hello, hello.
Hi, Miss Terry Ann. How are you?
I'm good. It looks like we have somebody tuning in already. I think Cherie said she was going to come.
Oh, Cherie! I
Let
get
me
to
see if
see
I can
her.
pull up
This,
the chat. Well, I
yes.
posted. Okay, I think the chat's up. Can you see it on? Are you on the laptop?
No, I'm on my I'm on my laptop. I don't know why it's not showing. Mm-mm. It's not even giving me a little chat room this time. What the heck?
Hmm. It's
Yeah,
like the upper right corner.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah. Aw.
Okay.
Oh well.
We'll have to do it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, we'll just see what's going on. Oh, she is there. Hello, Cherie. Hello. Hello. I'm so
Hello,
embarrassed.
hello.
I was just telling Terry Ann, I'm like, I'm a hot mess. We just drove the RV all the way from Tennessee and we just got into Arizona today. Like literally about 20 minutes ago. So I am a hot mess. And not only that, it is freaking hot here. It is so hot here. I don't care what people say when they say that. It's a dry heat. Oh my God, it's hot here. I
Well,
can't wait
that
for
is dedication.
it is dedication. And I can't wait for Sedona this weekend because it is so much cooler up that way than it is down here. But yes, no, because I love it. So yes, so why are we here? What are we talking about?
So I'm so glad you're in my state.
I know, I
We're
know,
actually on the same coast for once.
I know, right? Same time zone. Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
yes,
So today we're talking about how it is to have abilities and try to live a normal life.
yeah, yeah. That's a tough one. You know what? That's a tough one, and it's funny because I knew we were going to be talking about that, and so why you're driving in the RV and you have so much time to just be looking outside. It really made me think. As much as I feel like a hot mess right now, that actually being on that road trip and driving and stopping, getting back, I did have those moments of normalcy these last 3 days, right? Because I wasn't, not that I don't love, because I love what I do. So don't take this wrong. I wasn't working with people, and I wasn't constantly trying to keep myself in the zone. So it was kind of refreshing to just be normal and to really just look at, the cars passing by, the scenery passing by, and listening to the music and not always being in that bubble. Yeah, that I think it's so hard. It's so hard because it is hard to feel normal.
It
But,
is.
and that's being in the car. Now, when you're around other people, I don't know, there's like a light switch that just turns on as soon as you get around different people. You start observing more, you start feeling their energy more. So it's when I was in that car that I felt normal for the first time, and I forgot that. And this session, what we're talking about today, made me think about that as we were driving. Like, oh, this is so nice. I
Yeah.
literally am turning it off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice, especially when you're out
Oh,
in nature because you want to be
mm,
out there. But yeah, think about it because so much, I don't think what people realize is what goes into the work that we do.
yeah.
Even when we're not working, we're working. You
Yeah.
know, we work during the night when we sleep in our dreams. We're
Mm-hmm.
working on our family. You know, we may be just sitting with people
Yeah.
and things are happening and activations are going on.
Mm-hmm.
That happens to me often. And they're like, are you doing anything? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's just happening. So,
It is
I
just
think
happening.
people don't understand there's a lot that goes into this, and it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's
Mm-mm.
not like you can say, and you can, though, I have done this, so you can say it. But it's hard to say, like, I'll give you an example. And we might have talked about this before, but after Anthony passed, I was in the grocery store. So I was still in heavy grief. And there was a guy that I saw,
Oh,
and it
sorry.
freaked me out because he looked exactly like him. And Anthony
Mm-hmm.
wanted me to go talk to him. He said,
Ugh.
you need to go talk to him. And I was like, no, 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 I can't do that. And not in this
Yeah.
state either.
Yeah.
But anyway, I ran out of the store. But so spirit sometimes wants us to relay messages to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't personally like to infringe upon anybody's space.
No,
So
me
I
either.
don't like to do that. So that is an instance where I will say no.
Yeah. When I first was getting stronger in my I think awakening, I think I was like and like the second part of it, where it really comes to you, and the enlightenment. You have all those levels of enlightenment. And I think I was down at the bottom, and I was past the point of kind of figuring out where it is, playing the victim, why is it, whatever. And I get to the second level, right, where it's just coming to me, downloads and stuff. That happened to me one time, and I'll never forget, because I didn't realize at that time that I could also say, no, we don't do this. I didn't realize that I could set boundaries.
Yeah.
So I was letting it come in. And this is when we lived back in California, and it was during Coachella, the big music festival. I went with some girlfriends, and we went to it, and we were out there. We were having a great time, and this girl just walked by us, and then she was just standing there, and then all of a sudden I got that, hey, tell her this. Hey, you got to tell her that. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, I really don't want to. And then you've got to think, now granted, I had a couple of beers in me, but then at that time, back then, alcohol actually would help me, because I would be more relaxed and I would be more comfortable. So I went to her, and it's funny that you said that kind of about the guy in the store, because when I went and I approached her, her girlfriend, I remember looking up and looking at her girlfriend, and her girlfriend that was standing behind her was going, oh my God, she's weird. She's telling, like, okay, this girl is weird. But the only thing that saved grace is that girl that I was telling this to. She was like, how do you know that? How? No, she's right on. So like her girlfriend was telling me, going like this lady is crazy. Right. And so then it made me go reframe. But then if the girl wouldn't have said, how did you know that? Then I think I would have totally lost it and never pursued ever again, because it made me feel so weird. But I'll never forget that. And I think that was the time when I said, no, we're not doing that again. I felt so uncomfortable. And yeah, I don't care for it. Yeah, I'm with you. But you can't help it. You can't help it sometimes.
No, sometimes you can't, but I think it's important for us to especially establish those boundaries. I wasn't taught either that I could say no. Mm-hmm. So, you have spirits walking around your house. I would see men. I mean, I remember the first time when I started awakening, and we were in the bedroom, my husband and I see this man in there.
See, I want to see that. I do want to see that, but I don't want to see that. When I hear people say, oh, I saw people at the butt, I'm like, oh, cool. And then I'm like, yeah, but do I really want to see somebody standing at the end of my bed? I'm like,
right. Not. And so I described this man to him, and he says, I don't know who that is, and I'm like, okay. So I was like, I don't know. So I was just beginning. And so the next morning I was in meditation, and I said, all right, who are you? Because I could still feel his presence in my house. And he said, Mike, I'm Tim's dad. So I texted Tim and I said, you told me your dad's name was John. And he said, my dad's name is John Michael, and everybody called him Mike.
Oh, no way.
So that freaked him out. He was like, what? He was
like, gosh. That is so crazy. Oh my gosh. But see, it comes and we get the validation, but it's exhausting. And I think that's what we're trying to say through tonight's show is that it is like, I think we talked about it before. It's like everything, you always go back. And it's like sometimes I feel like, we already covered that, but it all comes together as one, right? So it's a beautiful thing. I love this gift, but it's exhausting. It is literally, it's exhausting. And that feeling, before we got on this trip, I thought this was such a good topic to be on tonight, because I was constantly on that on. Even when you want to be off, like how you mentioned in the beginning about just going out into nature. I love being out into nature. But then when I'm out there, I get more grounded. And what do I start doing? I start talking to the birds. And then I start talking to my angels. And then I just start talking God. And then I'm like, I can kind of feel my Uncle Rick here. And then I'll start talking to him. So you're constantly on again. It's just like that never ending. You're more grounded. But it still opens you up like crazy, especially being outdoors. That really, really opens me up being outdoors.
Cherie says, I see beings and spirits.
Oh, she does.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are they in her room Cherie? Are they at nighttime, or are they all the time where you can see this? I'd be curious. I love that.
It is kind of freaky though, especially in your bedroom and at night, and you see a strange man in there. You know, you're like,
Uh,
"Excuse me."
I think that would freak me out. I have a picture on my phone. I don't know if we talked about it before, but I have it on my phone, and I have some people have asked me like, why do you have a green dot on your phone saver? And we in our last house, the entry light never worked as long as we. Oh, hold on. What did she say? I'm getting it now. Evening in my room, but different hours. Oh. I wish she could come on
Interesting.
with us because it'd be interesting. Also, the know is that if Cherie, do you meditate in that room? I wonder if that's her room and that's where they feel comfortable.
That's
Is it?
possible, but I didn't
Is it?
meditate in my
I
bedroom.
was going to ask you. Yeah. So you didn't.
No.
They just came in and said, "Hi, I'm
And so
here."
yeah, we even had like an Indian chief, an old Indian chief. And
Oh.
that's when I was learning about boundaries. So I would not let him in the house, but he would stand outside at the sliding glass door and look in.
Uh huh.
And he was very protective though. He wasn't evil or bad. He would look in and he really wanted to see a sense of family. I
Right.
really felt like, that was his land. So it was
Mm-hmm.
long before because we had built our house in that area. And so the Native Americans were on that land. And so he would just watch and observe us. And it was so interesting, that experience in my life, to have this Native American staring. And I'm like, I say to my husband, you see that? Did you see any of that? Who's that guy walking out there?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't see anybody.
Oh my gosh. See, that's so crazy. Oh, what did she put? Random rooms in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's kind of cool.
What about this? Have you had this happen to you? So, like, when I have somebody, I don't do it anymore because I don't do mediumship now. But before a client would book a mediumship session, I get a spirit walking around the house that I'm not aware of. So
See?
I always say, could you please send your human to me so I understand? And next day I'll say to my client, like, she'll say, I want to connect with my dad, say, and I'll say, there was a man in my house last night and this was his name and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that's my dad. So they're usually there
Oh
earlier.
my gosh. See, that's kind of cool. I don't get any of that. Mine come like, when I'm doing my channeling session. Like I said, I didn't think I was a medium until all of a sudden I'd be like, I'm feeling this lady, and then they just come in. So, but yeah, I'll get a feeling, or I start getting a symptom myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see them,
Yeah.
I just start getting the symptom. And it's funny because, like my sister, when she had her breast cancer, it was on the right breast, but my left breast was always in pain. And so now I know when I do readings and I'm like, oh my gosh, my head hurts. So if I go to the right, I know it's probably their left that it's hurting them. I'm like the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? But I was going to show you this. So do you see that right there?
Mm-hmm.
The green orb up there?
Yep.
So anyhow, so that light this light here never worked as long as we were in that house, right? And just being too lazy to call the electrician because she's like, oh, we'll have to redo it. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's just that one light. We don't need it, right? So my husband was away. My kids were out, but my husband was away on a work thing, and it was my birthday. And I woke up, just, how you just wake up. You don't know if maybe you heard something, but you just wake up,
Yeah.
And usually that was when spirit's like, hello, I have something for you. But I didn't feel that. And then, but I just remember just waking wide up, and I looked out our bedroom. I always cracked my door just in case I could hear my kids coming in or whatever. And I saw a light. And I'm like, where is that light coming from? And I'm like, oh, my son probably came home and he forgot to turn off the hall light. So I got up, and I looked down, and it was that light that's been out forever was on. And I'm like, what? And I just got this
Oh, I
feeling,
love
and the
that.
first thing that came to me was my dad. So I ran into my bedroom, I took the picture, and then I went downstairs and I just started taking tons of pictures. But the funny thing is, that picture of that orb, I didn't see it until I went back through my pictures. So I didn't see that with my naked eye when I was just
No.
clicking. But when I went back up to my room, I was like, oh. And then you could see where it was there, and then it wasn't there. And then I tried to say, okay, could it be the microwave from the kitchen, the way it was? And yeah, it was so cool. But again, even when I wasn't asking. I wasn't channeling for anything. There you go.
There you
Yeah,
go. Yeah,
it's
it's
there.
interesting, isn't it? I know for me, I've learned. So what I try to do is like I picture like a vault. I don't know how you do it, but I picture like a vault, and the vault is closed. Like I don't really like to be bothered at night. I really want to sleep because I know I'm out astral traveling anyway.
Right.
So I picture like a vault and it's closed. Otherwise, because in the beginning I was a very open channel, so things
Mm.
would come at me from everywhere. So through the times I've learned how to use that vault and close it off. But that doesn't mean that nothing is going to come through.
True. True.
That just means you may deter a lot of them, but you're not going to deter all of them.
Yeah. No, I got really good at being very direct in my prayers of when you can come and when you can't. And so before I even start channeling somebody or working with somebody, when I sit down and I sage my room or whatever, when I say, okay, it is time to come to play, it's almost like I imagine us coming to a baseball field and I'm asking them all to come in, let's suit up. It is time to play baseball and we need to start hitting home runs, you know? So that's what it is. But if I don't say, okay, it's time to play, like suit up, no, don't come to me. But you're right, you can't help it, especially if you're an empath, you feel the energies. Like one time my mom, no, it was my cousin, uh, through the Make a Wish, she wanted to go see The Price is Right. So we all, my mom's sisters, all of us, we went up to The Price is Right. And I was in such a good mood. We waited forever, it felt like. But then as they started getting you closer and closer, it was like the worst experience of my life because I think there were so many people in such a small little area and everybody being excited. Some people being nervous or whatever. I felt all of it that I was like, that was another thing because my sister was like, "What is wrong with you? Like, what is
Yeah.
wrong?" She goes, "You need to get more fun. Like, what should you have? Did somebody piss you off? Like, what's going on?" I'm like, no, I can feel all these people's energy and I don't know how to control it. And so that's when it sucks. It's like, man, can I just be normal here? Because I'm watching my mom and all of her sisters and my cousins and all of us having, like, they're having a total blast.
Yeah.
And I'm over here like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm looking over, like, I can feel like that lady does not want to be here. She's probably pissed off at that lady over there. And I'm just like, oh, it was just too much. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'll never do this again. So it
Yeah.
sucked. It sucked.
It does suck. I had a similar experience. My husband and I got married in Vegas the night before the massacre that happened at
Oh,
was it
yes.
Mandalay Bay?
Yes. Highway. Oh God, I know what it is. One of my really good
It was like Country Thunder or something.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
Just
we got married the
horrible,
night
horrible.
before, and
Yeah.
we were partying and we were down there
Oh.
and we were out. And so maybe we were married maybe like a couple of hours, but I went from being ecstatic now to being sad. And so that was the night before the event happened.
Oh, but you could feel the energy of
I
the.
could feel the energy. Oh, I'm getting chills now. I could feel the, and my whole demeanor changed. I was so saddened, but I didn't know what was going to happen. I had no intelligence. Nobody came to me and said this was going to happen. And if they did, they probably would have thought I was crazy and drinking anyway. So they would have been like, forget it. But your whole demeanor changes. Like that was such a big event. And it was such a horrible thing. And for us to be there at that moment in time, I think it was to show me that, you know, that's the night before. So you're feeling all this. And my husband is like, what is wrong with you? Same thing.
Yeah.
We just got married. Did you not want to get married? And I'm like,
you're having second thoughts already. It hasn't even been 24 hours.
And I'm like, no, I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know why this is going on. So but the next day we were traveling home and we start getting millions of texts from people. Are you okay? They knew we were down there. Are you sure you're okay? What's happened? You know, where are you? And we were driving, so we didn't get any of these texts.
Yeah.
And how amazing. And so we were like, what the hell happened? When we got home, we're like, what the hell happened? People are calling us out of everywhere. But so, yeah, sometimes I want people to know, like, pay attention to that. If you're in a good mood and you go somewhere, you could have gotten attachment. You know, a lot of those lower energies, they like to feed off of you. So your demeanor will change. Pay attention. I mean, if somebody didn't piss you off, then you've got something that's either coming in or something that's attached to you.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? And I always say you can protect yourself, right? I always do. Always call before I work on anybody. I call in the white light and stuff like that. But you know what? When I go into a grocery store and places like that, I don't
Yeah.
call in the white light to protect me, whatever. I don't do it all the time. But there are some times that I wish I would have, because you're right. You just get that you're okay mood, and then all of a sudden is that shift. And when you get that, that's when you got to pay attention to why is this happening, right? Because the people that you're with, exactly like your husband said, right, is what's wrong with you? What's, you know, or what, you know, or like my sister, what's wrong with you? Snap out of it. But they don't realize is because we're taking on everybody else's energies. But sometimes I have to do that too. So I think that's very important. You have to do that check in, right? Especially the newbies, because we were both there, and you get all excited because you're feeling it, and you're just like, oh my god, I can tell. You know, you just get excited, but then after a while, it's I hate to say the word burden, but it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's draining, and but it's a beautiful thing. So it's very important to protect yourself. And when you do notice, like exactly you were saying, that shift, it's so important to just stop, check in, see where it's coming from. And then if you know it's not your energy, call in your white light, call in your angels, call in your God, and say, you need to surround me now. I need you now more than ever, right?
Now.
Because, yeah, yeah,
Now
like,
would
yeah,
be a good time.
right? But you would think,
So
like, you would think that they would just know, right? If they're supposed to know everything, like, come on, like, hello, you could have been here a little bit thing. But I think it's because I have that boundaries, because they don't come unless I ask, unless it's something very, very important that I have to get out and it has to be said. Is
yeah.
that little hello, hello, and just like, oh my gosh, okay, okay. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
but let's talk about a little bit about our energy too, because I don't know if people understand this. When you do this kind of work, it's very taxing on your physical body.
yeah.
If you do too much of this work, I've gotten really, really sick from doing too much of this work. I
Mm-hmm.
have got, especially mediumship. I find mediumship is one of the most difficult, taxing things on my body. And I think because I can't really separate that, I have a really, especially with somebody that's lost a child similar to me. So I have a real, that's why I don't do it anymore. Similar to me. So I
Mm,
can't just take myself out of that equation. Whereas before, I think I could take myself out of that equation, step back a little bit from that and not
right.
take that on. But then you have the other part of that, which is it's very taxing on the physical body. Our physical
Mm-hmm.
bodies cannot keep up with what's going on in the spiritual realm. So
Right.
even though we're doing this work, doing this work, doing this work, and
Mm-hmm.
we feel great,
Yeah.
there comes a down then, and you're like,
Oof.
why
Yeah.
am I so tired? I'm so fatigued. Like, what's
Uh-huh.
going on? And when I check in, it's usually like, well, you pushed yourself too
Too
much. And
hard.
I told you to stop, but you didn't stop.
And you know what? It goes to you giving too much of your energy out, right? Not getting that right energy back. Like I think we talked about that one time when I did that Zoom reading with my girlfriend. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. It put me in an atmosphere that I didn't think I was going to be able to do, but I did it, right? But I do have to say, you got some people that their our energies just flew back and forth, right? And then I got this girl that, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I felt like I just had a Red Bull. Like I was like, and then I got started reading a girl, and it just crashed. Like my energy just went so low because unfortunately she was going through some tough, stuff that went through. And then it shot right back up to a different vibration with another person. So yes, because when I was done, I was done. Like all I could think about was just going, taking a shower. I couldn't even go to bed. It was almost like I had to
Mm,
just go and decompress for a few minutes afterwards,
yeah.
and then get myself back together, and then I can move forward again. So, but you're right, the energy. And you know what's really funny? And maybe you can see how I it's funny, but it's not funny. This Sunday I go to a retreat in Sedona,
Hmm.
and I have had some girls in the past that I have done readings for, right? And whenever they go, they used to be so excited about going to Sedona because it is absolutely beautiful. I call it my happy place. I love it there. I really do. I love Sedona. But when I have two people that I worked with that they came back and they did not have good experiences. And that's because I think a lot of people are conceived about the energy. Yes, it's a healing energy, but if you are in a depressive kind of a state, Sedona could actually cause more of a depression that come out. How do you think on that? Do you agree with that?
Well, first of all, I can't live in Sedona. Even when I lived up there, I could not live in Sedona. I had to live in Cottonwood to get away from that energy. It's just too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing about that is it's going to bring up what you need to heal. So if you've got stuff you're not willing to look at, like, say you're controlling, that's going to come up and stare you right in the face. And some people are like, this is not what I came here for.
Yeah,
and
the panic attacks are going to come out, and they're thinking, "Oh, I should be zen." Oh, I love. Keep on going. I love that you're saying this because it's true.
I've also found Sedona's energy's changed since I even have been there. I think we moved 3 or 4 years ago. It's changed. It's not like it used to be. It's very competitive. It's very catty. There's not a lot of really genuine, authentic people.
Oh, you don't think so? Oh, I do have to, you know what? I agree
It
with
saddens me. It really does, because it's like,
I do have to say, from my very first time ever going to Sedona years and years ago, and doing my meditation. Now, I still love Sedona. Do not get me wrong. I think it's beautiful. I don't want to get anybody upset or whatever. It's beautiful. But from the very first time I went there years ago to now, you're right. I don't. Do you think people are sucking the energy, the vortex energy out?
Oh, I think their energy is prevalent. There's a lot of greed. There's a lot of greed. There's a lot of Airbnbs.
There's $3 million. You're not living in Sedona. If you're not getting helicoptered in and out of Sedona,
or even a hotel, $300 a night. You're like, I think I got a smoothie once. It was like $15. I was like, what the hell for a smoothie? Are you friggin' kidding me? But they can demand those prices, and they get them because of where they are. It's like California. I just find, that when you get to areas like that, like Sophia and I are going to be going to Mount Shasta when we go see my son in Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
I've been really wanting and being called to Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta is another one of those spiritual places, but it's not as big as Sedona. Right. So it's more compressed. And we won't be there long. We're just going to do like a day and then leave. But so I find that the spiritual places, you have to really be careful because, again, there's a lot of people peddling to make money. It's usually overpriced. You find very authentic people wherever you go. I find that I do that because that's what I request. Like, I always set my intentions to find the people that are similar to me. So that I don't come across others that are like that. And then it also goes into all the galactic stuff where there's all sorts of crazy stuff there.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You probably can hear the we're on the Air Force Base, and you can hear the flyovers. Like, there's freedom. Yeah. And you know what? I don't want to like I said, I love Sedona. I think it depends on when you go, right? And I think, the locals, like you going up there, like, you also know the areas where a lot of the tourist people don't go, because that one place that you sent me to, the Supta, that's my favorite place. I cannot wait to go back there. But the last time I was there, I can hear what you're saying, and I feel like this is turning into Bash Sedona. It's not. We're just talking the energy, but my first time when I went there, it was so quiet, and people were very quiet and very just to themselves. Now people were talking. They're talking on their phones. They're talking about where they're going to go get something to eat, and they have people right in front of them meditating, and they're like, well, do you really want to go there? Well, call her and see. But going back to the energy, that is, now you're getting their energy when you're trying to become in your Zen. But I love this. I love that. And then last time I was there, I got my dime from my dad. I was sitting on it, didn't even notice it until I got up. I loved it. And then I finally heard that gentleman that plays the flute. It was coming from the mountains, and that was just like, oh yes, thank you. Yeah, but it's the energy. So I think it just, you can give it away, but if you're and that's what I wanted to address. Like, we just talked about that. Like, she goes, I went because I was telling her I was going to Sedona, and she's like, but I didn't like it as much. And she goes, it kept on I feel like I left there more depressed than when I got there. And I think it's because that energy, all the energy. So you're right. So depending on how you're feeling, that's what it's going to draw out, or what you're trying to suppress.
Yeah. Or
It's
I've
going to
also
draw
found
out.
if you don't belong there, it doesn't accept you. Like, you know, I was guided to come home and we
Hmm.
stayed in Sedona. And I'm living down in Phoenix now and I'm making that commute part time.
I don't know how you do that.
I don't know that it's going to be forever because I feel that I love it. That's another thing. See, I love it, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel this is again, it's like being normal. I want to be normal. I
Normal.
want to do what
Yeah.
Terry Ann wants to do. Terry Ann wants to stay in Sedona, but Terry Ann's not being guided to stay in Sedona. So she's down here in Phoenix doing her thing, commuting 2 hours there and two
And
hours
back.
back to work a 4 or 5 hour day just because I love it myself. But my
See,
guide,
even though we bitch, we love it. We do love
but
it.
my guides want me here. So that goes back to being normal. Why can't I be normal? And why can't I do what I want to do? Well,
Right?
no, you can't because you have this calling and you need to be down here. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the other part of it. Sometimes, you know, being normal, what's normal to you or what you want to do is not going to fly because they will be on you, on you, on you. And
Yeah.
if you're not listening, especially, and if it's a bigger purpose behind it, they get louder and louder and louder. Um,
Yeah.
it's interesting because I find that little nudge you get sometimes it takes you a little longer. Like, really, should I do this? Let me tell you, if you don't listen, you're going to be pushed wherever you're supposed to go. And it's
Right.
going to be even more of a pain in the ass than if you just would have do what they asked you to do. So in
Yeah.
that case, when we say we want to be normal, it's like, yeah, we do want to be normal, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we can't
We
be
can't.
normal because it won't be the way we want it to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And you know what? And I think that's why I think if some people watched us, because even now listening to myself, right? I just feel that if people are listening to us, they're like, oh my God, those girls are just so bitchy and they're just so negative. No, it's not that. We're just telling you the truth. Because, right, you hear about all these master classes, you hear about all these, learn how to open up your intuition, learn how to get your guidance, learn how to be a psychic, learn how
Mhm.
I can help you with manifestation. They're all great things, right? Because these people have mastered how to do it, and it's good because you're learning from them, right? But do they ever tell you? But first, before you join, let me tell you the downfalls of what it's like watching that commercial on television saying if you take this medicine, yes, it's going to help you this, but it's also going to give you diarrhea, headaches, sleepless nights,
Yes.
maybe your hair loss. I mean, it is just boom, boom, boom. And that's what I'm trying to say, that there's a give and take to this, and you have to be prepared for that if you're going to jump on this. And like I said, to me, it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. I
Yeah.
might bitch about it, but it is completely worth it
But who
because
wouldn't? I mean,
mm,
that's a really great point because, yes, we are very grateful. I'm very
mm-hmm,
grateful for the gifts that I have and the people that I serve. But
absolutely.
there's a line sometimes, like I said, that you just want it to be a certain way and you
Yeah.
think that you should be able to do that. And sometimes you can't. And so I don't think anybody intends to go into this
Mm,
thinking that it's going to be this way because I've talked to several people that are in the business. I know a lot of people, and
mm-hmm.
they all say the same thing. This is not for the faint at heart. It
No.
requires you to do your inner work, to pull
Oh,
out your demons, to look at your
absolutely.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's really difficult. Is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I find even for myself, I come to a stall because it's like, hey, like I don't want to be down that road looking at that. Why do I have?
Mm-hmm.
But nope, you're going to be stalled until you do look at that. And I find right now in this time period that we're in is really accentuated. So you are being called, and
Mm-hmm.
that being normal sort of really goes out the window because these people now that are opening up and
Whoa.
awakening, it's like this.
They're so much faster than we are. I'm like, man, why
Mm-hmm.
couldn't I have got on their train? Like, come on. Yeah, you're right. You're right. People are awakening so much more at a faster pace than what me and you. Like, it has taken me years to be where I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
Years for me to understand. Because, exactly what you said. Like, when you are working with anybody that wants to come into this, right? You have to start at ground zero And that's really looking at yourself, seeing what you want, your clarity. And then after you find exactly what you want and what you want to do with this, sure, you're saying years too. Then you got to look at what's holding you back. Like they want to spring forward and they just want to start reading people, but you got to take care of yourself first. Like I think I mentioned that one time when I took Reiki, right? And then we would do the sessions, and oh my gosh, things were coming in right. It's just so good. And even the teachers at that time, the instructors were like, "Oh my gosh, Ann, very good." You know, things were just coming. But then we would do that sit around, everybody talk, tell what they were going through, and it was all about, well, my husband, you know, and here we go. Here's my bitch zone again. But I just like, oh my God, is this therapy? I'm not here for therapy. Let's go. I want to start reading people. But it wasn't until I had to be humbled again, brought back to down. I mean, seriously, brought from my high horse, kicked off the horse, and I had to go through that too. I had to bring up my shit in order to spring me forward.
Yeah. And I don't think it's negative. I think it's more frustration. It's frustrating. Yeah. It's not negative. It's because
I think, you know what? I think it's because I think I took care of it. And then here I am, it's spaced right back in my face again. So that tells me I didn't take care of it.
Yeah.
You know,
and then you have to think about any work that we do. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the normalcy again. So any work that we do on ourselves, right? We have the 7 energy bodies. They're connected to 7 chakras. We've got to go through each energy body. That's why people refer to it sometimes as like peeling an onion. So I worked on the first layer. I worked on this stuff. I should be golden, right? Nope. But now here's the second layer, the second energy field, the emotional, the mental now that I need to work on.
Yeah.
Bam, right in your face again. Okay, I'm good, right? I'm good. I'm done. Third layer, here we go again. So you keep going and going. And I don't think that people understand the capacity of the length of time that when you're looking at this stuff, because when I first thought I was transformed, I was done. I was like, yep, I'm transformed. I'm good.
See,
I did my work.
I think we all go through that. I think that's the step. And when I tell people when they are like, oh yeah, I'm feeling it, Ann. Oh my God, and I'm like, oh no, honey, you're way down there. Trust me, you're gonna go like this, and then all of a sudden it's just gonna be like, think.
And you're like, Cherie said, "I'm realistic." Yeah, so it's frustrating, and we're being real. I mean, this is not a path that I'd say. I'll tell you, I was in college. I was almost done with my degree, and I started Reiki 1 to help my daughter. Mm-hmm. I was going to be an advocate for children. I was going to work with human development. I had my own goals, and here I go. I was on that path. Boom, I'm down the healer path now. So totally 360 from what I was doing. And I kept going and going because I kept going. And everybody's like, are you going to finish school? I think I had like 5 classes to get my bachelor's. And I was like, man, this is really difficult. I don't know if I want to invest that time to finish. But my husband's like, you need to finish. You worked so hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what? It's all this money, and I don't need to waste all this money. This is where I'm going. But I did finish.
Good for you. But yeah, it's exhausting. It's amazing. But I do have to say, just to feel normal, I would just love to go into a crowded room with no expectations of what I'm going to feel.
Ooh, let's talk about like historical places. Have you been in? I've been in historical places, and it's interesting because I like feel things about people sometimes. Like I always tell my husband, pay attention to my energy. If you're talking to somebody and I'm all the way over here, there's a reason I'm all the way over here. I'm getting something about that person that I'm not liking what I'm seeing about them. Pay attention. So like if we're in historical places, a lot of times I start to see, feel, hear, know these things, and they come in, and I see horrific things sometimes. And it's like, sometimes I would just like to go and enjoy my family and be on vacation.
Yeah.
And not have to endure what that is. I mean, is it really necessary? I ask sometimes, is it really necessary for me to see the horror, the pain, the shock, the murderous things that happened in 1520 or whatever? Is that necessary? And I always get a yes. It is necessary. We showed you for a reason. So whatever it is that I'm getting, it's important for me to know. But yeah, sometimes I don't want to know that.
Yeah. No, you're right. You know, I think with me, I think I need to go. Right now, I feel really good doing my channeling and assessing people to stay in alignment, to go for whatever their goals are. But I really think that if I looked into more of past lives, I think that would be my thing. Because I think I mentioned to you one time when we were in Missouri and we were walking through a battlegrounds. We rode the motorcycles through the battlegrounds, and it was just so. They were talking how it was such a really bad, deadly, whatever thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling anything. And then when we were getting done, I just got there was these trees and they were just rustling. So at first I stopped because I'm thinking, okay, what animal is going to spring forward to me, because they were just moving too heavy. You know, it wasn't like a breeze. And so I was looking around, I couldn't find it. And as I'm walking back to our motorcycles, the trees were like following, making that noise. And I was like, okay. And so I would stop and I didn't feel anything. So I'm like, okay. So we get back to the trailer. I start taking a shower. And I wish I need to get one of the notebooks out. And it was like, hi, ma'am. Thank you so much for showing up today. I out of respect for the others, I didn't think it was appropriate for me to speak up. And I was having a full-on conversation with this man. I asked him his name and everything. I thought he was going to say that he was, for the Confederate. No, he was completely on the other side.
Wow.
So we went and we did research on him. And it was funny. He did not die in battle, but he did die when he got back home. But he went back there because he felt like he left all of his brothers behind. And I just that was just so amazing. And then when we were in Tennessee, we were walking through this mansion or whatever, a plantation, and they were in the slave quarters. And I was just walking through, and then the lady of the house that we were going to walk through called everybody like, okay, the tour is going to start. Literally, it is the weirdest thing. Thank God nobody was around me, because I even think I did that. I went and I was going to pick up, how they used to wear those big poofy dresses?
Mm-hmm.
I went I was going to lift it up, and I started running. I'm like, okay, I'm coming. And then and I was like I could almost feel me wearing a little high heel. I was like, what in the world? I just had a total out of body experience.
Yeah.
So there's something to that. So I got
absolutely.
I got
past lives, and it's funny because I always blow people's mind. I go, well, there really is. We call it past life regression, but there really is no past lives. It's present, past, and future is all occurring right now, and they just can't wrap their head around that. So we just call it past lives.
Yeah, but you know what though? I have to do it that way too, because if I try to do it in that sense, as it's still going on, my logical brain, it can't comprehend that. So I do have, even myself, I still have to say past life, because I can't comprehend. There's no time, there's no past or whatever. We're all now.
So that's part of being normal.
So yeah, but see that right there, that will drive you batshit crazy just trying to figure that crap out, Oh, the struggles but
the struggles of being in the light. Yeah, so I don't know. I think
is Cherie still with us?
I think
Cherie,
if you're looking,
still here?
If you're looking for this path, just really invest in it. Invest your time in yourself. I find that everything goes back to you. The more of your work that you do, the more that you learn, the more that you know. I mean, knowledge, they say, is power, right? So the more knowledge you have, you understand what goes into the things that you're going to be doing.
Yeah. Cherie, have you ever had a past life? I wonder if she's ever tapped into a past life, experience like that.
I don't know. I'm getting a pain in my shoulder. You having shoulder pains?
I'm not. Maybe Cherie.
Somebody is, because it's my whole shoulder all of a sudden is killing me.
Oh, you know what? You might be picking up on my husband.
Really?
He is in a lot of pain right here. Many. Ooh, Cherie. Ooh. I wish she could pop in on.
Is it his left or his right? Because I'm feeling it on my left.
Okay. It would be his left side. It would be his left. Yeah, the window.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I can't even move my arm.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. He's extremely sore. How
Wow.
funny. See, you're feeling that energy. See, you
So
just
yeah,
can't.
see, that's what we're talking about. I'm just sitting here doing a show, and I don't want to be picking up on anything, but my arm, it feels like I can't even like move. I'm serious. It's like
No, seriously, that's exactly how he is right now. He's so stiff right now. He's on the couch just
it
chilling
feels like
because
it's like
he's done.
frozen. Like I've
Oh
never
my
experienced
god!
this.
Sorry, sorry. I'm
Oh,
so
is she coming to Sedona too?
Oh my god. Yeah, she's had many and then she can't wait to talk in Sedona. Oh my gosh. She is
Oh,
going to be there at that retreat with me this weekend. So
oh,
I'm really
great.
excited. Yeah, and that's it's so weird the one lady who is the hosting it, Emily, I feel so bad. She's amazing, very powerful psychic, and what she does for entrepreneur women that want to like do their careers like this. Um I took classes from her, but I have to, because I took a more in-depth class with her. We are aligned so well that I have to. I feel so bad that I have to stop following her, because I will start getting like panic attacks, or I would start feeling her emotions, and I'm like, where is this coming from? So yeah, I'll be excited to talk to Cherie, because I can't even get on this lady's thing sometimes because I get her energy. And that's another thing. Like seriously, I can't even sit and scroll through Facebook without getting oh my gosh, where's this excitement? Where is this whatever coming from? I'm like, oh, so yeah, it's
Yeah,
that normalcy. It's that normalcy.
interesting.
I
So
just
what are
want to
we
be
going to talk
normal.
about next week? I think we're going to do a surprise show next week, and we're just going to leave it up to spirit.
And I
And
promise I won't be on the road for 8 hours. My hair will be combed. I'm just waiting. Y'all don't understand. I'm waiting for my mother to watch this and go, I can't believe you went on and you look like shit. You
well,
look
isn't
like
that part of
shit.
keeping it real?
Hey,
Like,
Deidre. Hi. Oh, we're just heading off, girlfriend. Hello. I hope you're doing well.
hi. Yeah, isn't that
Yes.
part of keeping it real, though? I mean,
There
really,
you go.
seriously. This is
Yeah.
life. I mean, like I saw, you saw my cat. You're going to hear my daughter, my son. You know, everybody is
Hush.
just, see? I'm going to edit that out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, yeah, it is. It's just keeping it real. And I think that's what I love about it. And I think the outreach that we've gotten from some people just saying that that's what they love about this. So I love that. It's just that's who we are. We are not like here I feel like I bitched a lot, but it's not bitching. I just want to tell you the truth. And so, you know, and that's just part of the thing. I want to tell you the truth. I want to be real with you. Never will. I never want somebody to ever come back and say, "Well, Anne kind of put it this." No, no. I will be straight up and with you, and I know you would too, Terry Ann.
Mhm.
It's just
Absolutely.
who we are. And if you have a question and you really are struggling about something, that's why we're here. Reach out. Let us know. Because to me, my mind is, we need light workers. We need all of us to come together, right? We might not
Absolutely.
change the world, but we can change one person and help somebody. So that's what I want to do. I'm not here to
Yes.
change the world. I can I can't change the whole world. That's just ridiculous. I cannot do it. But I can help somebody. I can help somebody feel good and not feel like I think you did on your post. Was it today or yesterday, Terry Ann? We weren't here to wake up, go to work, come home, sleep, repeat, do it all over again, and then get our paychecks and realize that our paycheck is so
Playing the
freaking ass
Matrix,
low.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Total on point. I
So,
need some direct answers, and you give them. Woo
oh,
woo! Well, if you ever have anything, let us know. Let us know, and we'll tell. Do you have one right now? Come on, Deidre. Do you have one thing right now? You do. We're here. We can help you out. We're almost done, but oh well. I just can't wait. I cannot. I do. Okay, keeping it real. I'm sorry though. I'm looking at myself. This is just horrible. But yeah, it went. I kind
what
of.
are you gonna do? You got commitments, right? You got to
Yeah.
show up no matter what you look like.
How do I quit healthy? What does that mean? Or how do I get healthy?
I don't know.
I don't know. How do I get over fear? Face it.
And that's a layered thing too. I
It
mean, you're going to
is.
get over it and it's going to come back, and
You know what? That is,
being aware.
yeah, when I work, I always say when I work with people, but it is true. I always say that the puzzle, right? In order to get a whole puzzle picture, you have to take one piece and you got to put it together. And when you get to that fear piece, it's not so much of what's the word? You got to get over it. You got to just do whatever is making you. Because I disagree when people say that. When some people are like, "Oh, the face your fear, you got to go all in." No, because sometimes that go all in might be it's because your body, your spirits are telling you don't. So you got to really check in. Is it because no, you should be doing that, or how should I say this? Is it a
There's a
fear?
lot that goes to it,
Yeah,
it's just
there's a
not one
fear.
layer of fear either.
You
So,
gotta find out where that fear is coming from.
and
Is
what
it
it's
gonna?
about. Because if
Yes.
it is a genuine fear, like, I mean, you heard horror stories when I took psychology classes about women that had an instinct that they shouldn't have gotten in an elevator with a man, and it turns out they were
That's
raped.
what I was
So you
trying to
have to
say.
be really careful about that fear you get and not say, oh, okay, what, that's stupid. But you also want to be aware that if it's a fear of like something happening to your children. So like after the death of my son, I became very fearful for my other children. Now that's not it is a legitimate fear, but it's not a legitimate fear because I understand they each are their own person, and I wasn't able to stop one. I would not be able to stop another. So through that, you understand that and know, but you really have to look at what it is, what's causing that fear. A lot of times it's underlying stuff, and it's from childhood, and it's conditioning, and it's programming, and you always go back. But the more you become aware of it, I find, the more you catch it. Like even just the other day, I couldn't get the bullet to work, the neutral bullet. And I'm like, I'm so stupid. I should be able to get this stupid thing to work. And I caught it, and I'm like, oh my God, you're not stupid. Obviously, there's something going on, that you don't know. But here I am calling myself stupid. So it's like there's an awareness that you start to get and say, oh, you're not stupid. But that's that conditioning that, we are always in that negative thought pattern conditioning until you become aware and start to change that talk in your head. And that takes time. It takes effort. And it also takes going deep down inside sometimes about looking, when exactly did that start? And sometimes it's even pre-verbal. I mean, you have to look, it's not just, and then you open another can of worms when you get to there,
But that's what there's your onion again. And like Deidre said, quit the W-2 job, still stuck. Okay, well, this is the thing. Everybody I keep on hearing, and I don't know if it's because the inner circle that I'm in now, right? With all the coaches and stuff like that, they're saying, become this, quit your 9-to-5 job. Okay, yes, maybe there'll be a time to quit that 9-to-5 job, but right now, think of that 9-to-5 job as a caboose. I used this on somebody else the other day. It needs to help you get to where you want to go, that caboose. But what's so good about the caboose, eventually you can unhitch it and let that thing go. So don't look at it as a bad thing. Figure out where you want to go. Get your engine going. Start climbing that hill. Use that caboose as your your financial, whatever, the help you get. And then when you get where you are and you're comfortable and that fear is gone because you are making it, unhook the caboose and say goodbye, and then you can soar. There's nothing wrong with, I have to quit my job. Everybody else is doing this, whatever. If stop thinking it's boring, it's not serving me, is what I'm getting. Think of it as it's helping me. It's a paycheck, and it's there to help me to get to my goal. And then when I get my goal, or at least get it going where I feel comfortable and can stand on my own 2 feet, then you can let the caboose go.
Right. But that goes also back to the part of it that you have to be aware then that you're not stuck in that matrix of 9-to-5, and you've got to make time for yourself. You've got to make time for your spiritual. You've got to make time for your family. You've got to make time, to take care of humanly things. But so you have everything that goes into that then, right? So if you say that, but you also have to be in that spiritual space. People get caught up. I'm guilty of it as well. We get caught up in that 9-to-5, and it sometimes consumes us. And that's where we're not going anymore. People are becoming more aware of that. Why don't I want to do that? And so I think that's where you're finding the disparity of people that want to quit because they just had it and they're done. but you need a paycheck. It's like I always say, like, hello, I'm in the human world. I need a form of income.
But that's where you got to flip it. Stop looking at it as a grind and I don't like it. Think of it as, you know what? This is what I got to do for right now.
Right.
And this is helping me get to my goal.
Mm-hmm,
right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cherie's is, where is the fear coming from? Letting people down, people pleasing. Yeah, that's
a big one too.
But you know what? That one, when I get that one a lot, that is when you really need to sit down with yourself, do a huge check-in, because like Terry Ann said, I bet you thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. No, granted, I don't have millions of dollars, but I would bet you millions of dollars that fear and the people pleasing, one, that's not in your energy. That came from maybe your parents, your childhood, the church, just people around you. That I bet you came back from your younger years. That is not coming from you now. That is just what you have attached to you and you're coming through your years. And that's where you got to sit back, do the check-in, and just let go and release and be like, you know what, that isn't my energy. And I've been holding this person and humping this person. I got to let that caboose. I got to let that go because it's not serving me anymore.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That one comes up a lot. Yeah.
Well, a lot of times also somebody said something to you in childhood that was like, you're not worthy enough, or you're not good enough, or, you know, who do you think you are? And so we strive to be this people pleaser. We're always trying to make other people happy. Yeah. It could just been one sentence. Like I said, it doesn't have to be abuse. It could have been one sentence that your parents said to you that was like, they don't have time for you.
Yeah.
And that forms your thought pattern, and you carry that through as your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It carries you in there. And when you finally look at what that is and where it came from, it's amazing to me. It's always like that awareness. The awareness unlocks it. And then it's like, yeah, you know, I can do this, and I don't have to worry about what they think and they think and they think, because what I think is what's important. So just by switching the script, it's always so amazing to me how powerful this is up here.
Oh, totally. But that's why I like it. You know, when in the younger days, I remember my mom and some of the women that I work with, you know, as they got into the 40s, I was like, oh, I don't want to get into my 40s. For some reason, I thought that was freaking old. And it was funny that they would always say, oh, wait until you get your 40s. You just don't give a shit. They are so too. I think mine was in my late 40s that I'm like, yeah, I do like my 40s. I like being 45. I know there's someone like, oh my God, I'm hitting 40. I'm like, whatever, enjoy it. But it to me, it was a great thing because you know what? I really just don't give a shit. Granted, I do want to present myself because it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But before I used to dress to impress. You know what I mean? I wanted to look cute. And it wasn't for, like, I think it was my husband that said it one other day. You know, when women dress up and they go out, they're not dressing up for the other men. They're dressing up for the other women. And I was like,
smart cookie.
I'm like, that is so true. Because I'll look at some girl, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. And then I'll look at myself like, oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us, everybody.
Dead at 40. No, you're not going to be dead at, no, not 40. You're going to keep on going, Deidre.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us, and you can catch us next week where we're going to just be winging it again.
Yeah.
And like, subscribe, and share our channel. And if you know anybody that's interested, let us know, let them know about us, and that really helps us. So we look forward to seeing you next week on Thursday night.
48? Wow, she looks great.